Hello and welcome to episode number 190 of the Untamed the Wild Soul podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth D'Alto. This is our fifth Sunday sermon, and today we are calling on and exploring the energy of the Goddess Durga. And what does Durga have to do with the beginning of a new world? And I say a new world because, first of all, these Sunday sermons are kind of like becoming the medicine of the week. I've noticed that I had every intention of batching up a bunch of them, recording a bunch at once and having them ready to go. And I haven't done that since we started because what I've been doing is really feeling into the energy of the week. What's going on in the world? What's going on in my community? What are people sharing with me on social media, inside our members group for Wild Soul Movement and my mentorship? What's happening? How am I feeling in my own world? What am I observing in the world around me? And what feels like something that would be really useful, really needed, and really supportive for what our Wild Soul women are experiencing right now. And so this past week, the week that I'm recording this, it's a couple weeks after Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Irma came through. It's decimating the Caribbean and heading towards South Florida right now. There's fires all over the US and Canada, as well as all over the world. There are things that I haven't even tracked that I know there's other things, other floods, other landslides outside the US as well. There's this DACA, this bill in the United States where they're wanting to deport people. There's so much stuff going on. And so I'm recording this on a Friday. Yesterday on Thursday, I woke up and I was just feeling so heavy. To be honest, I was wishing I could grab a flight off Earth. Not die, but just exit stage left. Head back to the stars or something, or transport to another dimension where love is the more natural response of the beings. Maybe you can relate to that. Anyway, that's not the case. I'm not hopping a ship to whatever star I came from. I do fantasize about it, though. Probably more than I should. But, we all chose to come do this human thing. If you're a woman, you chose to navigate being the inhabitant of a meat suit with breasts and thick thighs and a juicy booty, maybe, a vagina. Ultimately, I really do love that, even when I want to take a break from it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that sometimes I just want to take a friggin' break. So, when I feel that way, the energy that is the most nourishing, that is the most comforting, that brings me back to who I am, what I stand for, what I'm here for, my purpose, is really the energy of the Goddess Durga. And so many of you have already heard me. How many times have I recommended Sally Kempton's book, Awakening Shakti, on the podcast? So much so, actually, that when I go into Amazon to look at my own book, it says, often bought with, people often buy my book, Untame Yourself, with Awakening Shakti, because I freaking talk about it so much, because it was pivotal for me in my own development. It still is. I have 2 copies of it in my house. So there's it's always handy at all times. I've gifted this to so many people. And so I want to read you something about the Goddess Durga. And I want to send some big, big, big love to my friend, Sarah Durham Wilson, because it was actually scrolling through her Instagram yesterday that brought the Durga energy back up, because she had posted an image of Durga many, many weeks ago. I was catching up on her life with her new little baby and everything. And she had posted an image of Durga, which I just reposted. So if you go to my Instagram, Instagram.com/Elizabeth D'Alto, you can see it, or you can follow Sarah Durham Wilson on Instagram. But here's what she wrote. She wrote, "The wise woman came to my house and I made her tea, and then she sat across from me. As I began to nurse my child, she nodded as she smiled. Now you see why Durga Ma has all those arms, not just to hold, but to protect, not just to nurture, but to ward off harm." And so if you don't know what Durga looks like, if you go to our show notes page at untameyourself.com/episode-190, we included a picture, my favorite print. It's from Awakening Shakti, and I actually commissioned the illustrator to make one for me that I could hang in my home. And she protects my house. She protects me. But Durga has 8 arms. She's usually seen riding a lion or a tiger. And in each of her arms is a different weapon. One of her hands is free to give blessings. And all the other hands have different tools or weapons. Like one can have a lotus. Depending on what imagery you see, one might have prayer beads. And then there's like a conch, a shell, swords, spears, all kinds of things. So she's prepared, right? She's the ultimate multitasker. She is the fierce warrior goddess. And so I want to read you something from Awakening Shakti. She's talking about the Durga personality. And she says, we can tune into our own Durga energy by invoking the figure of the goddess. When you feel drawn to this goddess, it usually indicates one of two things. Either you need an infusion of Durga-like strength, or you carry the Durga archetype as part of your personality. And so I love that distinction because I for sure carry the Durga archetype as part of my personality. You might not, but you might feel like, damn, I could use some inner strength. I could use some fierceness. And Durga is the warrior goddess of protection and inner strength. So Sally Kempton continues, a woman tuned into the Durga archetype has a natural capacity for warrior-style leadership. She will naturally create zones of protection around the people in her life. She's also an effortless multitasker, like a mother who manages 3 children while cooking a 5-course meal, or like an executive running a team of diverse employees. The Durga woman makes space for people to flourish, fighting their battles when needed. But she is just as likely to push them into fighting for themselves. My friend Ruth is an environmental activist and seasoned political operative who runs a family, cooks creatively and brilliantly, buys and sells houses, and has an almost limitless ability to make friends. She came into my life when I was just beginning to teach publicly, and she enlisted herself to help me create a teaching world. For 2 years, she ran retreats for me, helped me plan programs, and used her formidable social skills to bring people into my life. Durga women have a natural generosity combined with a no-nonsense, pull-up-your-socks sensibility that could be abrasive when the Durga shadow is in force. Pull up your socks is a Durga mantra. She herself gives no quarter to her own weaknesses and has little patience for anyone who stays stuck in theirs. Come to her with a problem and she will immediately suggest a solution, but may lose patience if you don't act on it. Durga women are formidable. Hillary Rodham Clinton is the quintessential Durga woman, beloved by her friends, worshipped by her staff, regarded with suspicion by people who are uncomfortable with the kind of feminine power that won't disguise itself. And by the way, this book came out, I'm checking real quick. This is not a recent publication. This book is from 2013, so it's a couple years old. Actually, it might range back. No, it says 2013. And so, politics aside, Hillary doesn't ask for sympathy, and as a result, she may not get it. Durga women don't cry easily, which, by the way, so that tells you how versatile we all are, and we hold many archetypes because I freaking cry all the time, and I'm definitely a Durga woman. A Durga woman may believe that her job is to hold up the world. One of my more Durga-esque friends calls it her Mighty Mouse syndrome. She believes she can take care of anyone, solve anyone's problems. Helen Mirren's TV show character, Inspector Jane Tennyson, epitomizes Durga energy. So did Queen Elizabeth I, who gave her name to the era of Shakespeare and the first British explorers of the New World. Angelina Jolie holds the Durga personal archetype in many of her films, as well as in her activist personal life. In Indian mythology, Durga is sometimes described as a cosmic queen, and the Durga woman is definitely queenly. In ancient times, royalty felt themselves directly linked both to the land they ruled, to its people, and also to the subtle realms of gods. True royalty acted as a kind of channel between earth and heaven. An evolved Durga woman has that sense of global connection and global responsibility, whether her sphere is a family, an organization, or a project. At the same time, she intuits that the power that moves her is not her own. A true Durga woman will at some point in her life feel the transpersonal source of her own guardian energy. She continues, I was meditating at a shrine in Mexico. A student of a shamanic activist told me recently. At one point, I had a vision of myself sitting on a throne. My back was open and energy was rushing into it from a kind of sun behind me, but the front of my body was in a formal upright pose, very authoritative. I felt that I was seeing my soul. I saw that my authority comes from this steam this stream of energy that was entering me from behind. This woman had sensed the presence of the Durga archetype in her larger transpersonal form. She felt that energy as the force that empowered her to call to social action. An evolved Durga woman holds a big, often radical vision, and she has both the energy and the strategic skill to actualize it. So, if you're interested in exploring more of Durga, I'm going to read some more about Durga with you, and I'm going to share card number 34 from the Wild Soul Oracle with you, because that card, that's really the Durga card. It's the Fierce Feminine card. And I have a story about creating that card as well. So if you're feeling into this, maybe it resonates for you. And if it resonates for you, get on the Google and look up Durga, or order Awakening Shakti, or the Shakti meditations, and do the Durga meditation. Or you can re-listen to. I'm going to walk you through a Durga ritual. This is just a really supportive energy for times like these, when so many of us are being called on to hold so much and move through so much. And we really need to protect ourselves and our loved ones and our people. And by the way, you're my people. So when I do meditations, when I do rituals, when I light my candles every morning, so you all know, my prayers and my protection is going out to you as well. So here's some more descriptions from Devi Mahatmya of Durga. Dawn and dusk became her eyebrows. The wind god's splendor shaped her ears, and all else born of the other god's light shone too, as the auspicious Devi. We bow to her who is auspicious beauty. We make salutations again and again to her who is prosperity and attainment. Salutations again and again to her who is the fortune and misfortune of kings. Salutations always to Durga, who takes us through difficulties, who is the creator and indwelling essence of all, who is right knowledge. We bow down to her who is at once most gentle and most fierce. And this is what I love about Durga. Her fierceness is a demonstration of her gentleness. By not beating around the bush, we save ourselves and everyone else time. It's so awesome. So I was in Mallorca, Spain in February of this year, of 2017. And I was finishing up writing the descriptions for the booklet for the Wild Soul Oracle deck. And I had one card left. There's 44 cards in the deck. I had skipped over number 34 because I wasn't ready yet. So I saved it for last. It was the Fierce Feminine card. And those of you who've been longtime podcast listeners have probably heard me share parts of my story before on how really owning and embracing my power, like all of my power, has been one of my biggest fears. And I love this because when I shared this image of Durga on Instagram today, someone wrote in about their own reaction when they first discovered Durga. They said, I hated her because she scared me until I loved myself, all of myself. And then I saw that she is me and we are her, and the fear became love and the hate was gone. She's a treasure for sure. So Durga, this energy, this will be triggering for some people, and it will press on aspects of ourselves, or maybe aspects that we see in others that we admire or we fear, in whatever way we need it. So for that woman, it was calling her deeper into self-love. For other people, it might be calling you deeper into what already exists within you. Who knows? For me, when I found Durga, it was like finally being able to recognize and honor a part of myself that I had always felt ashamed of because other people were very uncomfortable with it. So the mantra for the Fierce Feminine card in the Wild Soul Oracle is, I own, embrace, and I am the fierce warrior goddess within. And as I sat down to write this card in Mallorca, I remember I started crying. I was in my Airbnb. I got up. I had to go outside. I had to breathe. I had to get in the sun. I had to move my body. And I actually had to have a conversation, with the energy of Durga, asking her permission, like, can I share you? Is this the right time? Is this the right way? Am I even, I don't know if the word is worthy, but permission. Do I have permission to share you? And of course I got a yes, and I felt scared. It felt like a real revealing of myself in a way that I hadn't before. So now I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you what I wrote that was the results of feeling that way and working through it. So the first part, in the Wild Soul Oracle deck, there's 3 sections for the description of every card. There's the remembering, the reflection questions, and the ritual. So the remembering for this card is this. One definition of fierce is showing heartfelt and powerful intensity. While women have had many strides in culture and society, on a regular basis, we still face oppression by tacit patriarchal agreements, one of which is the preference for women to be in constant pursuit of self-esteem, but very careful about expressing it once they acquire it. Another is that, sure, it's okay for us to be strong and powerful, but not so strong and powerful that it makes other people uncomfortable. Other people's discomfort with your power, your heart, and your full-out femininity is not your problem. Becoming comfortable with all of it yourself and learning how to express it authentically is, however, your responsibility. So, if you're a journaler or if you want to take some of these reflection questions into your contemplation, here's what they are. What is your relationship to being fierce? Seeing fierceness through a positive, expansive, useful lens, how and where do you need to embrace it and apply it in your own life right now? So if you need to stop and re-listen and write those questions down so you could reflect, that'd be great. By the way, I would love to know. If you feel like sharing with me, find me on social media. Come to my Instagram page or come to my Facebook page. You can comment on the posts or you can just share on the wall there. Let me know. And so here's the ritual. To summon the fierce feminine aspect of your wild soul in this ritual, you'll connect with the goddess Durga. Sally Kempton wrote, in Indian culture, Durga is the Shakti, feminine principle of divine energy. You call on her for strength, protection, and transformation. As a warrior goddess, Durga carries a spear, a mace, a discus, a bow, and a sword, as well as a conch, representing creative sound, a lotus, symbolizing fertility, and a rosary, symbolizing prayer. Aurobino Ghose, which I don't know if that's how you say his name, one of the great 20th century spiritual visionaries, believes that the Shakti, the sacred feminine power that Durga personifies, is the real force behind the evolution of human consciousness. He wrote that she's always trying to evolve our awareness to help us create a world in which we live in balance with each other and the earth, and with our own sacred masculine and feminine natures. But he believed that to access her transformative power, we have to call it, ask for it, and pray for it. It's as if the protective, transformative power of the divine waits just out of reach, unable to intervene until we summon the courage or the desperation to throw ourselves at her feet, literally or metaphorically, and ask for help. So, close your eyes. Take 3 deep inhales through your nose and 3 long, purifying, audible exhales out of your mouth. With every exhale, intend to release any shame, guilt, fear, doubt, or judgments that you have about being fierce. If after 3 breaths you feel like there's still more to release, take as many more as you need to. When you finish, repeat after me. I own, embrace, and I am the fierce warrior goddess within. I own, embrace, and I am the fierce warrior goddess within. I own, embrace, and I am the fierce warrior goddess within. Now imagine you're standing in a vast open field surrounded by mountains. Connect with the grounding energy of the mountains. In the distance, you see a figure riding towards you on a lion. She is majestic and beautiful, possessing a distinct aura of power, grace, and fierceness. As she approaches you, begin to feel very calm, even more grounded, and an instinct to trust in her wisdom and protection. This instinct arises in your belly and spreads throughout your chest. As she reaches you, she dismounts her mighty lion and walks over to you. You meet her gaze and notice that her heart space is opening, and inside her chest is a beautiful rose, like the rose on this card. As her heart space continues to expand, yours begins to open as well. You can feel the presence of the same rose in your own heart, and you realize that your heart is her heart, the heart of a fierce warrior goddess. You bow before her in deep gratitude for the reminder, and she says to you, there is nothing to fear ever again. You close your eyes to take in that message, allowing yourself to be with it for however long feels right. And when you open your eyes, she's gone, but never ever forgotten, because now you know she's in your heart whenever you need to call upon her. You might have just heard me drop my booklet. So as we transition into this new world, this world that has been recently ravaged by storms and fires and tyrannical, narcissistic leaders and all kinds of things that aren't new. These things have happened throughout the course of history. You can access your inner strength. You can be of service to yourself, to your loved ones, to your people near and far. So come back to this, bookmark this episode, bookmark this ritual. If you want a Wild Soul Oracle deck of your own, you can head on over to wildsoulmovement.com/oracle. And again, the show notes for this will be at untameyourself.com/episode-190 if you want links to any of the resources I mentioned. But you have power, you have fierceness within you, and the world needs you to be owning and embracing that and showing up in that. Because in fierceness, there's love, there's compassion, there's gentleness, and there is resolve to contribute to the changes and the transitions that are happening in the world right now. So this is the time. We need all the hands on deck. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and we'll see you later.